Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Doyen. Today, we'll be looking at Manchester United's transfer window. We have with us an esteemed panel of three Manchester United fans, all of who are really excited about today, and Srinivas, who will offer the rival opinion along with me, Susheel. So, we should jump right into it. I think everyone has a lot to say about United. So, I'll go to Prathamesh first and just give us a sense of what your assessment is of United's transfer window activity. What do you think were the pluses, what were the minuses? How many of each there were? So just jump right into it.
I think I'm going to start with Anuraag's example from yesterday. That घर पे जब आपकी छत लीक हो रही होती है ना, तो आप वो छत को रिपेयर कराते हो. आई मीन इफ इट्स वो that मिट्टी वाला छत होता है, you put that मिट्टी वाला that plaster, you put those tiles on. If it is
Right.
the PVC one, you repair that. What Ed Woodward cellotape is what Anurag said. मैं तो वो भी नहीं बोलूंगा. I would rather say that Ed Woodward has done this. He has basically just applied some spit on it, and he's just temporarily covered it for like whatever 5-10 seconds that can it can last. Basically, that is our transfer window, dude, because an ambition of covering two positions. In particular, one was a centre back partner of Harry Maguire, for which I do not understand whether we need a Harry Maguire or do we actually need two new centre backs. Secondly, we wanted to cover is right wing, and very specifically Jadon. The guys here were pretty optimistic about signing Sancho, and since day one, I just didn't get that vibe. That Sancho would come to United. My sane mind, why would he? And then secondly, when the rumors were really really close, it just felt like it was just a moment away from just pulling apart, and that is what exactly United did. They agreed a bid for him. They agreed the deal, and then the next day Ed Woodward went and changed the deal, considering that maybe at the last moment Borussia Dortmund might give up. They didn't budge at all. So Jadon Sancho didn't happen. Now what actually did happen for United? Alexis Sanchez was somehow removed out of the club. It was a sad story. The deal went for United since day one, but I'm glad that we got him out of the club, no matter how we did, because it's the insane amount of wages that the guy carried along with him. It just wasn't something that United needed right now.
Right.
We somehow forced Chris Smalling out on deadline day that Roma were willing to pay for him 2 months back. So that's an insane amount of mental pressure on the player himself and also on the club. Get Diogo Dallo out of the club on loan to AC Milan, which again, couple of months back there was another club that was willing to pay us amount for a loan plus buy bid. So that didn't go through. We somehow that one transfer genius that probably Ed Woodward managed, getting Andres Pereira to Lazio with an option to buy for 27 million. Now, who in their sane mind would pay 27 million for Andres Pereira? I mean, it's a funny story, isn't it? They started with David Silva. David Silva deal didn't happen, so they replaced him with Andres Pereira. That's like basically when Mumbai Indians in IPL replaced Tendulkar with Saurabh Tiwari at one point, to play. So that was just insane, dude. I mean, that's the kind of situation that Lazio went. And then coming to the players who came in, first, I don't think we really needed to sign another central midfielder. Donny van de Beek is a fantastic upgrade, and I wouldn't say no to a player of that quality of 40 million. I still feel it is a bit. It wasn't that position in itself, and if it indeed was, what were United doing when they were linked to Thiago? Um, I think Van de Beek is here, so I think it makes a lot of sense. He ticks a lot of boxes. It's pretty much similar the way Bruno Fernandes plays. Probably in couple of years he might go get to the same. So I think that makes sense. It gives Bruno a chance also to
Right.
relax a little. He's been playing a lot of games. Another signing which was Alex Telles. I know people were really excited for Aguilon, but if Real Madrid were supposed to insert a buyback clause and had him for 2 years, it wouldn't have made sense in from a business point of view, and that is one transfer that failed. And I actually say it's okay. I think I understand the reason behind it, and as a really good fullback, he's gone unnoticed over the years. From Porto, I mean, he's always been there and thereabouts for signing for big clubs, but for him, finally it has, and I'm really excited about watching Tellus because when you watch Luke Shaw, and you find anyone else better. So I think Talis is definitely a big upgrade. Um, then to the extraordinary deadline day signings. I mean, number seven was supposed to be Jadon Sancho. Signed up with both hands. Had number seven been no one. Had it even been for that matter, if they would given number seven to even Daniel James, I would have accepted it. Yeah, give it to Greenwood. Yeah, they gave him 11 because he eventually took that 11, went to the rivals more as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we gave a number seven to a 33-year veteran Edinson Cavani. The only thing I guarantees is work rates. I don't think he guarantees goals which he did 4 5 years ago. I don't really think he guarantees that kind of presence in the box that he could have 2 seasons ago. So I don't know what was the point of signing Edinson Cavani when we had even Odion Igalo in our books. I just don't think at all made sense. And then to add to that frustration, the guy is in quarantine and he said, I didn't feel obligated to tell it to anyone. I mean, seriously. But we signed Cavani now and it's done now. We've signed him for 156K a week for sitting on the bench and wearing the number seven. I I would be gladly accepting the fact that I am proved wrong if Edinson Cavani scores 15, 20 goals in a season or even for the next 2 seasons. But I don't see that happening at all. Um, Going to Amad Traore, I think he's a talented player, but there are a lot of leaps and bounds yet to go with Amad Traore. He still hasn't come at the club, so it tells me that it was a panic signing on deadline day. Even if they should have signed him way before. He's played 25 minutes of Serie A, so I don't know how a 40 million transfer fee justifies in a way. That is 25 million, so it goes up to 40 million over the period of the entire transfer. So that would be something really interesting. I want Woodward saw good enough to pay 40 million for a player who hasn't really even made a name for himself right now. People have been arguing about that Real Madrid paid a lot of money for Rodrigo at that time, but he had played a lot of games in the league before, so I think yeah, so that made a lot more sense. And then Pelestri, Facundo Pelestri from Uruguay, man recommended by international scouts have told he is someone to actually look forward to. His stats really don't justify that, but as a young player, I don't really feel stats justify everything. I think as a lot of international players and scouts have said, he's a really talented player. I'm not buying that. Neither am I buying the fact that United saw him and yet still signed him. So let's see how that transfer. I would rather accept that transfer for the way it is right now. I just want to see how it works out. He might get into the first team as well. But really disappointed over Edinson Cavani. I mean, I still do not understand the whole point of the transfer at all. I mean,
So
that's just wasting money.
Anurag, I'll shift to you. So obviously, same question to you in terms of how you rate United's transfer activity. But I also want to ask a question, which is Prathamesh brought up the name Ed Woodward a lot. Now he's been at the club for 7 years since David Gill left. He's been in charge of in transfer windows at least. So tell me what he does wrong, or explain to the fans what he does wrong as you take them through this window.
Well,
You think that's a question?
Such
That's
such
not
great
something which can
guys,
finish
such
today. Yeah, you can get your dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
We can just.
yeah, I start cooking dinner.
Yeah, before I answer that question, I just want to share a post that I'll just read out a post that I put on 23rd January 2018. In a generation of
Okay.
200 million transfers, this is an absolute steal. A day United fans have been waiting for quite a while now. Can't express my joy in words. And this was when Alexis Sanchez signed.
God.
oh wow.
I never
Okay.
I
deleted
don't
that post
blame you,
because I
Anurag.
don't want to forget I reacted that way. I never deleted that post from Instagram because
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
see,
I bought a Alexis Sanchez jersey.
Oh
back in
God.
the time.
My oh God.
See, back in the time, I think one thing we cannot disagree was even a lot of opposition fans felt that was really quite a steal because we replaced an informed Alexis Sanchez with Henrik Mkhitaryan, who wasn't really fitting into the Jose's system as well as he could have. There were some moments where he scored some big goals against Tottenham. He did very well in the Europa League, not to forget. Uh, but again, everyone felt how in the world did Edward Wood manage to make that deal? That seemed like a big thing for everyone. But I'll have to throw some light here. Alexis Sanchez, what were his wages again? Five, four?
350,
Yeah,
150 on add-ons.
my goodness.
Jesus.
For a
Jesus.
player who you know is going to like contribute 25 goals, goals and assists included, and that tells a lot about Edward Wood. So one thing, he thinks money can buy you anything, but at the same time he doesn't do it the right way. So this is a very complicated point to explain. Now he spends those money on people like Alexis Sanchez, but again at the same time is not very much worried about people like Edinson Cavani coming in at not such high wages, but it's pretty significant. I mean, the 156 that people have been mentioning, that can go up till 220. It's great. It can go up till 220 if he's playing well. So again, not a problem there. So my problem with Edward Wood is the way he deals with transfers. I think one thing we can all agree upon. I think I'll just put those stats right up there for you. Pelistri signed for just under 10 million. Okay, that is fine. Future prospect, if that is so. Amad Traore eventually cost us 40 million. Just few windows ago, just I mean in the January window, there was a player named Erling Haaland who was available for the same amount. And at that point, everyone's eyes were on him. And as he went to Borussia Dortmund, I think everyone was pretty confident that guy was going to do well. And he did end up doing well. The first goal that he scored in a very cramped space, he dribbled his way past and he scored his debut goal. I remember that for Dortmund. And I felt, goodness me, we should have paid even 50, even if they had a 10, 20 more million, we should have paid for that. And instead, we end up paying
Yeah.
for this much amount for a player who's played 25 minutes in Serie A. He's the youngest to score in Serie A. That's a great thing. He has talent, but again, a lot of opposition fans who don't understand why some people do back. I have backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer quite significantly because see, one thing, he brings a certain amount of positivity. Again, uh, the way he reacts after a press conference after a defeat is something that gets scrutinized a lot. Now it differs to different people. Right now there are some people who put on a smile regardless of anything. You might see some people literally putting on a smile even after a funeral. So you people dig on a bit too much about that. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
It's eventually, see, he's someone who always keeps smiling. It's just a part of his nature. So that's something people take a lot of L at. I don't know for what reason, but again, uh, he's done well with with quite a mediocre squad which had like literally 11 good players. And with the current Premier League standards, you definitely know 11 good players are not at all enough, and he's done well with that. This was a time where if our viewers still haven't heard of it, the original list of transfers that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted in terms of priority: Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish may be on par with Jadon Sancho in terms of priority, Upamecano or Nathan Ake, and we know how many of them came to Manchester United. So that is a problem. Again, he's been handed some young players who are going to take a lot of time, by which means we are going to see more of these 6-1s which happened against Tottenham. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle batter 3 against us, and there is a game against Everton coming up. There is a game against PSG coming up, who who look so dangerous right now. uh, I can't see us like conceding less than 3 goals in those games. It's almost I'd be really happy if they don't, but I can't see that happening. Again, it's there is no plan in terms of the investment. All panic buys. uh, as Prathamesh rightly put it, he just rephrased my example. It's just putting a sellotape on all the all the cracks in a house. It just doesn't solve any problem. It in fact causes more problems. That is Edward Wood for you, and my explanation might not have been very precise or perfect, but one thing that I can say is lack of vision, uh, spending money out of panic towards the end of the day, expecting a bit too much from other clubs. Like the way he expected Borussia Dortmund to budge, a club that is one club that never has any financial issues, man. I mean, even if they, in terms of, when I mean no financial issues, if they don't sell a player, it's not like they're going to really go into debts or something. Like now that was one of the reasons why Sporting Lisbon ended up giving us Bruno Fernandes. So they really needed that money. It was not. It's never the case with Borussia Dortmund. They're never going to budge, and that was known for
Right.
everybody who ever follows football transfers. And still, and I really thought that was going to happen, because at that point the whole issue was centre backs, and I thought Woodward will just give us Jadon Sancho and he'll just sit back for the next two windows and do nothing. That was what I expected. That would have been bad as well. That would have been horribly bad as well.
Mm.
That was what I expected. But he's surprised me to an extent where he stooped even lower and he didn't get even that player. So yeah, if United
Right.
really had to take risks with some senior players, now I feel there was a point when we all were talking about James Rodriguez and Gareth Bale, and we're like, no, 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 these guys, no, not worth it. We shouldn't be risking them. And
Exactly.
we've taken a much, much, much bigger risk in Edinson Cavani. Now I feel, Arey, bhai, I
Mm.
can, not because James has done well at Everton, but come on, even of what he's done with Real, I think I'd very openly, with open arms, I could, I'll take him, I'll welcome him to Old Trafford right now. So that is a case, no vision, very, very bad way of spending money. That's Edward Word for you.
And hey, so I have a very well said, by the way, and I
Yeah,
have a couple of questions for all of you guys, right?
yeah,
So my first question, Kushagra's not got a chance to
Yeah.
speak. So my first question is a bit random and out of the blue, and not a priority for United at the minute. But like, see, as a rival fan, I do rate Marcus Rashford for sure. I think he's really, I mean, the last season he really showed that he can score a lot of goals and has potential to be a world class player. But do you reckon he's a little inconsistent? Because sometimes I feel he has these phases where the numbers show that all right, he's had a great season, and he has, but in lots of games I do see him go a little missing. I'm not gonna lie, and I personally, as a rival fan, I don't know, Martial, producing that special moment, sometimes a little more often than he does. So that's my one question to you. And the other two questions that I have, one is that you talked about how, United needed another centre back, like a partner for Lindelof. But then you mentioned that Maguire's form's been so shocking, might need two, right? So we always talk about mental health in society and in football as well. With what happened with Maguire in Greece with his sister, United City, forget that. You wouldn't wish that on any human being.
absolutely. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do we factor that in? I'm just saying because, like, for example, with City, um, if we don't win the league, I will be annoyed because I'm a football fan. But at the same time, I do realize that Pep's mom passed away during COVID, so it's a little bit of a weird situation,
So
right? So that's
yeah,
question two.
yeah,
Wait a second, and I'm gonna
that's
ask you a
another
third
question.
question,
Okay,
and
fine.
then we can round this whole thing
Yeah,
up where you can talk first,
cool.
and Prathamesh. Then, so it's very clear that Ed Woodward is absolutely awful. Amazing for us rival fans, but he really is ruining your football club. It's a two-part question. One thing is that you guys, as you mentioned, you were really excited about Alexis Sanchez, and lots of people thought that he'd smash. He's an absolute warrior. People forget that he's not like a, at least at least pre-United. I don't think anyone considered him a mercenary. I personally really rated him as well. So there's lots of signings you guys make that even as a rival, I'm like, oh wow, that's such a good signing, but it just never works out. So how much of it is Woodward and on the surface you guys do make good signings, and how much of it is poor coaching? Because Paul Pogba, again, we I thought, oh, this guy's gonna absolutely murder everyone, but a couple of years down the line, I mean, I don't see Paul Pogba
Five
like that,
years.
and I'm a
5 years,
big fan.
Srinivas. 5 years down the line.
And I'm a big Paul Pogba fan, by the way. But still, I don't see. So there's that, and another thing that all of you should actually touch upon is with the Glazers in charge. I know football is cyclic. Liverpool was struggling. Now COVID happened, but with the Glazers in charge, and they're going to be in charge for a long time. Do you guys ever see you guys coming back to the top?
Uh,
Um, I'll just
Prathamesh
answer
and
one question. I'll
Anurag.
just answer one
Yeah.
question there with
Yeah.
regards to Maguire. Yes, I think if you remember, even I put a few posts on Jesse Lingard and whatever the mental health issues that he's facing. So I very well
Yeah.
respect that. I think not many fans would do, but I very well do. But the problem with Maguire started way before that incident, and it's not. I
Right.
think
Yeah. The problem
I
with
think
Maguire is not after the lockdown.
yeah, it's not after the
Right.
lockdown.
Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe the last time, it's not just see he's been solid. The prime Maguire that we saw at United, he was very good with the aerial balls. I don't think
Harry
anyone
Maguire.
who came up against him who was really winning the headers and all of this stuff, especially in Premier League where you play a lot of aerial balls, that came in really handy. But at the same time, every time there is a good runner against him, he was going to struggle all the time. Uh, Obviously, because he doesn't have the pace. And I don't know. It's
Even
he likes playing with the crowd noises or what it is. But ever since the
yeah.
we started playing in empty stadiums, I think his brain looks as empty as a crowd. It's very surprising because I remember I every time I go back to that goal that Steven Bergwijn scored uh, against United. Oh my god, that was even worse than that. Who nutmegged the Bournemouth player? Who was that who nutmegged him? I can't remember.
I think it was Stanislas who
Wilson.
nutmegged him. Yeah,
Junior Stanislas.
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 I think that
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, so he's had phases like this even before it. I very well respect if that something is going on in his mind and he needs to be put aside for a few games. I think that's great if we can do that, but I really don't think that is a problem.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just
the other
I'm just
questions. Yeah,
sorry to interject.
yeah,
Yeah. Just that I want to ask, and Kushagr can actually shed some light on this.
yeah,
Apart from the Rashford question that I had,
Yeah.
is that I'm not telling you guys to every silly error like when he basically pushed Shaw away for the goal that Ndombele scored. I'm not saying that you guys say, oh, you know what, he has mental health problems, it's okay.
yeah,
Because he has those problems, and as we were talking about in the City discussion that we had with me, is how much, and I'm not blaming Oli here because I mean he has, I mean, he can't achieve what he was supposed to because of the transfer window, and he has done a good job at the club. But how much do you blame him? Because it's clear that a player who's gone through what he did, as well as the public scrutiny, is bound to fail to a certain extent. So do you guys blame Oli? I know that after the lockdown he was not good, but after what's happened, do you guys blame Oli for just starting him in the games when you know he's not going to be full 100% there, fully 100% there?
Yeah. I mean, so just going across the questions that you've asked, I think it's Rashford is the topic. I think we can come on to that. Finish off the Maguire aspect here. I
Right.
agree with you there. I think, see, the problem with the Ole Solskjaer is the same problem that was there last season as well. He does that he trusts. Okay, so he doesn't
Right.
have played. Anurag talked about Prime Maguire or something like that. I don't even think that kind of mode in Prime, Maguire exists. Those
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z characters who don't go to Super Saiyan. He doesn't. He just doesn't.
Hmm.
He's Krillin. So yeah, okay. So he's okay. He's good. But
Yeah.
he was good. He was effective in the defense. As soon as he got the armband, his just the performance, the confidence, the added responsibility, all of that has started dipping. All of that has started going down. And the armband in, I think, November,
Yeah.
October end, November last year. And how much time was that in his for him in the club? 3.5
3 months.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 months. Yeah.
It is now that is a question. That is a decision you should genuinely question Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for. I mean, I am sorry. Like, what the fuck with Maguire being the captain there? Because but so just simple fact. Maguire really hasn't captained at all.
yeah,
He hasn't. He wasn't the captain. Hull, he wasn't the captain. Youth in Sheffield before Hull wasn't the captain. Again, he was too young to be a
Yeah.
captain. But
He,
captain
he was
in
captain
the
at youth
junior
level,
team
I
level.
think.
No, he was a
Yeah.
captain last year. League captain was under 15s.
Oh.
From 17s, 19s, 21s, he's not captained his clubs, not captained the country at a junior level. Went to a World Cup, wasn't even the vice captain of the team, and now you're making him the captain of a club after 3 months. months? Because apparently he has good communication and the communication has been laid bare. So all of these reactionary decisions that Manchester United makes, okay, it's same with Woodward. You're talking about, can you blame Woodward? Can you blame Solskjaer? Can you blame the managers? The problem is there has never been a structure. You see Bailly, you want to go and get Bailly. You don't look at his injury record. We talked about injury record when we talked about City. You don't look at the fact that the man had already had two knee problems before Real itself. But no, you go get Bailly. You see Pogba, you buy Pogba. You don't realize whether Pogba fits you or not. It's Pogba. You have a new artist. You got a blockbuster manager coming in. You got to appease his ego as well. You gotta make this whole thing work. You getting Paul Pogba on one hand, you're getting Jose Mourinho. Does that even make sense to you, Srinivas? Like, or Susheel for that matter? Like, that doesn't make sense to anyone because the two opposite footballing systems that those two would like to operate in.
Yep.
Jose Mourinho. If you really wanted to make a statement, go get it. You should have gone and got it in 2016 because Mourinho's always wanted Bale. And Mourinho would have loved having Bale rather than having someone like Paul Pogba, whom he would all frustration on, because Paul Pogba is not the kind of player that Mourinho would like to play football with.
Yeah.
And post that, you've been saddled with an 89 million pound thing that you have to always play. Now, what has happened is Paul Pogba is in his second last year of his contract. If he signs, I would genuinely question his professionalism and his ambition as well, because I don't think he should sign. I think he should either leave in Jan or he should leave in the summer. Fabrizio Romano said it yesterday. Had the COVID not happened, Paul Pogba would have been a Juventus player right now. And I think that would have suited everyone the best.
Yeah.
Prathamesh talks, Donny van de Beek would have been fantastic had we sold Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
Donny van de Beek would have been fantastic because it doesn't make sense. You can't play the three of them together. You do Paul Pogba and Fernandes together because you do not have a good enough holding midfielder. You got an aging Matic who's good in one match and shit in the other three matches. That's what it is. So there are few other things that I'd like to talk about. We talk about Manchester United spending money, Manchester United always being there for the best players and everything else. If you look at the wage bill for Manchester United is the highest in the Premier League, 332 million pounds. 32 million pounds is the wage bill. Players like Trent Alexander-Arnold earned 80,000 pounds. Phil Jones is on an 80,000 pound contract.
Yeah.
Marcus Rojo is on an 80,000 pound contract. Luke Shaw is on a 200,000 pound contract. Okay, the four goalkeepers collectively get 620,000 pounds per week, and yet you are unwilling to shift out the goalkeeper you got on free. Forget cancelling
We
his
got
contract.
two of them on free.
Yeah.
One of them is a academy product, so
Lee.
three of them.
Yeah, so Lee Grant, leave him. So he can be the. But Sergio Romero, who's been your number two for like 4 years, 5 years now. I think it's since Bengal he's been the number two. So I think it must be 5 years now. He's been a number two enough. He's been a good backup keeper. He has over 60 appearances for Manchester United. It's not a joke. As a second choice goalkeeper, 60 appearances is a good thing. And he's got like 35, 40 clean sheets.
Yeah.
Incredible conversion ratio. So the least the club could have done was respected his contribution and allowed him to leave, whatever it may be. You're not gonna build, buy a Jadon Sancho from the money you get from Romero. But no, this is the problem with this club. It's always reactionary, and also they have no plan. Prathamesh talked about Pelistri. I'm sure Cheetos or Lays as kids, right? We used to get those Tazos, Pokemon Tazos, right? Edinson Cavani is the Cheetos, Pelistri that's happened. Okay, that is what has happened. Okay, there was no way United were getting Pelistri had Edinson Cavani seen not. It is all bullshit about Diego Forlan actually, recommending him. So what if Forlan recommended him? So Forlan got sacked after 7 games as a manager. Just this season.
Right?
Yes, at Penarol.
Yeah.
7 games. I'm sorry, I'm not going to take his advice. He was a fantastic player. He was a flop at United, but he was a fantastic. But I'm not going to take his advice, and I don't understand why are you taking, Diego Forlan's advice. Why do you not have your own scouts? And if you were, and as if you were really tracking Diallo, why did it take for you till 5th of October and late night to get the Diallo deal done?
To be fair, don't you think that Forlan thing is just silly marketing ploy
Yeah,
No,
to
okay,
build
basically
fans
that.
no,
Yeah.
emotionally?
no.
I don't even think that's
So
true.
no, that is true. It is true. It is true.
No, it may be
Poland,
true, but
no,
it may not. It's just a thing to
Srinivas,
push
I
on.
agree
I
with you
don't
that
think it's a
they
real
may
rival.
have scouted Pellistri, but why is Pellistri being brought in on 5th of October night if you've
Yeah, yeah, of
scouted
course, of course.
some claim to have known him since he was 16, 15, 14-year old? Why couldn't a different deal have been structured कि भैया बंदा August में आ जाता and he would have had a little bit of a breather?
Yeah.
And he's been Pelistri has been
No.
named in the Champions League squad, by the way.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has been, and like he's going to come in and join the first team. Philosophy has got the highest wage bill, and just the last point that I'd like to touch upon is Ed Woodward and this board. They're just cowards, but what helps them being cowards is that the Glazers just don't care. So when you talk about whether I can see United, actually even being a part of a cycle wherein they can come back and maybe start dominating English football or European football again. I just do not see that happening under the Glazers because the model is we keep getting our dividends, we keep getting our money. The club keeps making bare minimum so that they're fourth every season. The season they're not fourth, we'll pump in 100, 200 million. As soon as they get fourth, we'll give them a net spend of 40, 50 million pounds. And we'll make sure that we support the managers when they're absolutely desperate. But then when
Yeah.
you're about to achieve something, we'll not support them. Louis Van Gaal gets Champions League, doesn't get supported. Mourinho gets second, doesn't get supported. Ole Solskjaer gets third, doesn't get supported. It's a trend. You see that. Sir Alex Ferguson. So we all keep, we have grown, a lot of Glazer sympathizers talk about 2013. You were winning titles, you were reaching Champions League finals, you won that one final as well. Everything else. What they sort of ignore is, those 8 years sports manager who's ever lived. You would have given him us five. He would have created a midfield out of us five.
Yeah.
So that was the genius of the man. I'm sorry. Can you get another, Sir Alex? Will someone of Sir Alex's caliber even want to come to Manchester United? Does Pochettino really want to come to Manchester United? I think it's dumb fuck if he's coming to United. He's just going to make sure his reputation goes down the gutter. If he goes to United, he's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. Should not go there because you're ruining your reputation. What is the point? That's why all of these players, when you talk about inconsistency, Rashford is incredibly inconsistent.
This,
The
this is
only
something that
consistent,
I really wanted to touch upon.
Yeah.
the only period we've seen from Rashford was from October last year till December end last year.
Hmm.
Before
Okay,
he got
when
injured.
he was scoring left, game scoring, game in, game out, he's just been super effective, just ruining defenders for fun. But otherwise, Rashford has always been inconsistent. There is a reason why. Manager up until Solskjaer has allowed Rashford to find his niche. He got pigeonholed as a striker. He's never a striker. Never a striker. Can't hold up the ball. Doesn't have that intelligence in play. Doesn't have that quickness in his feet in terms of when his back is towards the goal. He doesn't have that. Martial has that. But again, Martial needs a good support cast around him. The problem with Martial and Rashford is Martial gets hate for just because people call him lazy, people call him uninterested, and people call him this and that. But if you actually take out the entire season, he runs as much as any other player. He is as pressing as any other player. He's better in terms of body strength, physical strength, holding up the ball, heading the ball, and everything else as compared to any other striker.
Do you think it's a bit of the Ozil thing where people used to often talk about how Ozil never runs this and
Same thing
that,
with
but
Berbatov,
Ozil's
right?
distance covered used to be great actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Berbatov,
Yeah.
Berbatov, right?
the lazy elegance, that's what they used to call it when he
I
plays well.
hate this
Yeah.
concept. How can you call elegance lazy?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Prathamesh, point about Rashford.
Yeah, I
Ah.
mean, before I jump into Rashford, because then it would be a huge Rashford discussion, I wanted to shift for a moment to Harry Maguire, because you said you talked about the mental health thing. I think it is not just about the mental. I think it must have definitely fucked his mind up. The he's and now the fans. Now the fans have gone totally negative and they have said let's reopen the case in Greece. They've signed petitions and stuff. It's totally
That's stupid. Yeah,
Jesus.
that
in
is
so many
stupid.
ways.
That's not needed.
And
Yeah.
That's too
that
much.
that was a horrible incident for Maguire. And I think, as Kushagra rightly said, he doesn't have those many players he can trust. Otherwise, Harry Maguire wouldn't have started the season. He played insane number of games last season. Played on 57 games last season. There was no necessity for that guy to play in unnecessary games, but he still played.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is Maguire. I think he is a fighter in so many ways. He's not justifying it now, but he does that. I think another thing about Maguire, and we have been talking about prime Maguire. I don't think again that existed, but this Maguire at Manchester United really started when Bruno came in, and that has nothing to do with Bruno Fernandes himself. I think that had more to do with United more in possession. I think Maguire is a fantastic defender when United want to counter attack, when United want to sit deep. There are no spaces in behind, and Marshall defensive backline. He is he's good in the air. He is good in reading situations when United are playing deep. I think with Fernandes, with Pogba, both of them coming in, and with the form that towards the end of the season Greenwood, Rashford, Martial showed, it meant that United were pressing forward even more than they usually did, and it also meant that United had more possession of the ball than they usually did, and that led going more towards the halfway line and leaving the spaces in behind which he's not good enough to cover. He simply doesn't have that space. He does have the pace rather. The amount of space that is left behind Maguire just doesn't work out. And I think ever since then he has been making a lot of mistakes because of that as well. The performance which we saw at Tottenham was totally disastrous, and I feel that level of disastrous performance was a one-off. I don't think it happen again with Maguire. That Luke Shaw
Right.
incident, I think even Luke Shaw was a bit culpable in the entire game. So I don't know whether I would really Maguire a lot for that one game itself. I think it happens with players. It's okay. Coming back to Marcus Rashford, I feel he's what has come because of the way he was handled the club previously by Jose. I don't think Jose handled him. He played him at whatever positions he deemed fit. Sometimes he would call Marcus Rashford a centre forward when United won against Chelsea. When in the Europa League, he called him a centre forward. That is what he is. Then all of a sudden one day he comes up and says, he's not a centre forward. I don't think that it is that way. So I guess that is where it just it didn't happen really well for him. And I think even for Martial the same thing. We saw Martial in multiple positions as well. With
Hmm.
Ole, I think I understand why Ole has been able to get the best out of Martial Green, because he was a striker himself. That kind of helps, that mentality which Ole developed over the years, has come into these guys. Let's not forget they scored more than Salah, Mane, Firmino last season. So I think that came in really handy. I think Rashford has been inconsistent even at the start of the season. He is the kind of player who is inconsistent. He's not a great goal scorer. He's a scorer of great goals. He's a creator of great moments. But I don't think he's consistent. Give you 25, 30 goals a season. He might give you 20. He might not give you 30. So I don't think looking at more in a goal scoring term would actually help United. I think towards the end of last season we saw Rashford playing that as well at the same time. Where he was being a creative player from that inside left
Right.
channel. He was creating a lot of chances for Martial, for those overlapping where Luke Shaw was playing well at the end of the last season, and even linking up with Fernandes. So I think that is something that Rashford could really develop into his game. More creative, inside, fast forward. It gives him a lot of avenues to actually explore himself into. Doesn't become a one-dimensional player that he's going to dribble, come inside, shoot. He's going to go outside, cross. That creativity gives him that different angle to his game
Got
as
it.
well, and he's good on set
Yeah.
pieces. So I think he is inconsistent. There's no doubt. I think there is something that will only get better with age, only get better with quality coaching from a player who understands what it is actually to play in a forward position. And I think Ole is work on that. And coming to Glazers, I mean, man, Srinivas, if I have to say I'm a little jealous after the fact that the city ownership is repeatedly pumping money for the same position every year, and they're repeatedly willing to pay pump in money because they want to see the club do well. That is the
Yeah,
only
the
ambition.
Yeah, I know.
yeah the,
Just before we carry on, guys, I think Srinivas will quickly push.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much, bro, for being here.
Yeah.
Guys, he'll definitely be here for more videos. Do check out
yeah
MTAC. As we did mention in the previous video, the link will be
Thanks,
there in
man.
the
Appreciate that.
description below. And Shri, hope to see you soon on the video, man.
Yeah,
yeah bro.
just one thing. Sorry, I had to suddenly have to leave. Something's come up, but I'm going to leave you guys with one last question. Okay,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
last
Yeah,
question. Next transfer window, for example, this season is going to be rubbish. For example, one of you guys should contribute. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
you guys are. I'm not going to say you guys are Ed Woodward, but you guys have the chance to, rebuild the season and make realistic signings. So don't say, oh, Messi, Van Dijk. That's not happening. Realistic signings from other leagues. Who are you signing? Name three. And okay,
Yeah.
chalo.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
See you.
all
All
right
right.
bro,
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
take care.
See you.
Srinivas.
See you.
Take
Bye,
Bye,
care.
guys.
man.
Take care.
I
Bye.
think I think Srini leaves us with a really interesting up this
Yeah,
video actually.
before
You
we
know
get
what?
there, I
You
think
know what?
before we
Before,
get there, I
yeah,
think
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
one small point that I wanted to
Go
make.
ahead.
So I think another aspect that we have to consider is the social media shit that Glazers are so interested and Ed Woodward is so interested in. The Alexis Sanchez
Man,
the video that was launched, that is I think one
Yeah,
of the
no
best
man.
that
intro
was
videos that was ever
the
launched.
biggest thing I've ever seen.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
you liked it or didn't like it?
I, I said it was the cringiest thing I've ever seen. Like in
I liked it.
announcement videos.
I liked it,
I like it.
maybe
Yeah,
because yeah,
I like
because
it
as a
too.
I
United fan, I
I did
understand.
not like it. Did not
See,
like it. Again.
see,
The thing is,
see
I think
again.
I'm
This
a
is a
little
hindsight opinion. So let's see.
more.
Just a second. Yeah. See again. Maybe some people didn't. Opposition. I really love that again. But this is what they emphasize more on such stuff. They again there is a new what is that PR head who came in who was formerly a head of
Sporf,
Sporf. Yeah, who was a head of Sporf.
Sporf, yeah.
This is what the
Neil
club
Ashton,
wants to do. Yeah.
Neil Ashton has come in to
Yeah.
defend Ed Woodward from the negative PR spin that he gets. And Neil Ashton, guess who he was working for? The Sun. Complete bigot coming from a bigot newspaper, helping bigot owned club. Helping their own little bigot.
Yeah.
All right.
To the Srini's
So,
question,
so I
and
wanna answer that question first. I think it'll be more interesting if the
yeah.
Yeah.
rival fan answers
Yeah,
that.
I think we need perspective, Susheel, as such.
On the transfers.
Yeah, on
Okay.
not just the
Yeah.
not the transfers as such. Like, what is this circus
Okay.
that is Manchester
Mess.
United?
My as a Liverpool fan, right? My I don't want to say I'm enjoying this, but I hope things don't change. Right? What I think Manchester United fans felt about Liverpool in the late 2000s or the 90s, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
hope things
One
don't
could
change that
disagree. Yeah,
because what clubs think about at the end of the day, if you look at the history of English football, there are only two clubs that are neck to neck for greatest ever, and that's Liverpool and Manchester United. And so, in my head, if I want to be able to say we're the greatest team in English history, we need to get back there in terms of the number of league titles you win. So I am personally fine with what's happening. But as a neutral fan, right, I don't see the situation here what's happening at Barcelona. It's the same thing.
No, but
It's
just a question, Sushil.
yeah.
Barcelona is still run on votes. No confidence motion has been passed, and
Yeah.
have to have re-elections now in November. December.
Correct. So that's
They
what I was
can't
going to
go
say.
against the constitution. United don't even have that.
Yeah, just a small point about the
And
rivalry thing
that's
that you
what
rivalry thing that you mentioned. I can't remember
right.
one phase besides the Busby Shankly small phase. There was a very small phase where Liverpool and
Back
United were
then, yeah.
both at their prime.
Yeah.
Otherwise, United, Liverpool,
Right.
funnily, both of them have never been at their prime
At the same
at
time,
the
yeah.
same time. At the same time, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's interesting, right? And
yeah,
I think um, my assessment of what's happening is it's tough. In I think Kushagr might not be familiar with this. In economics, there's something called the principal agent problem.
Yeah,
Have you heard of that?
yeah.
So
I heard of it. Yeah,
the people who are affected by the decision being made
Yeah.
are not the same people who are making
Making
the
the
decision,
decision,
right?
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
So
that's basically what this is.
Agreed.
And as long as the Glazers are there, I don't even think it matters if Ed Woodward is the director of football.
It
Because
doesn't
what
matter.
happens
Yeah.
if so Michael Edwards is the Liverpool director of football, right? If he ends up becoming the director of football at Manchester United, does that
Nothing
change
is.
things? I can't say yes. I can't say
Oh,
yes
so
confidently. So
it definitely maybe gives United a structure, but does it
right.
help United get
In the
there?
long run, yeah.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, my assessment of the whole situation is that there are structural issues and you cannot fix the problem until you fix those structural issues. And unfortunately, you cannot fix those structural issues. That's the problem. And that's, I think, the how do I put it? That's the sadness of being a Manchester United fan, right? It's
Yeah.
a problem. Whatever you do, how much ever money, you're the biggest club in the world, how much ever money you throw at it, that problem doesn't go away.
Exactly.
So, you know, I don't have an answer for how to fix this. But anyway, I think just coming back to Srinivas's question, right? I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, we can look at who are the three players that you can sign next window who would
But
really
करेंगे
change.
क्या? That is my point.
No,
Na? We
that's
can
the
keep looking at it. 15 days back as well, na, Sushil?
Yeah.
yeah. But the point is, say you have a really good coach. Say Poch joins sometime this season, right? You don't
Why?
think he can? Why would he? Or
Is he an
why?
idiot? Why
He
would
may
he?
be
Is
an
he an
idiot.
idiot?
People do
Maybe, but
idiotic things
I
for a
think
lot of money, right?
No, and
you
and
you
this
got
whole
your answer right there. There is still some money left
yeah.
to be taken for a lot of these people, and
No,
he might come in.
and man, no. The other thing is, I just want an opinion from you all. I will end up. I think this has also gone on for quite a while. But
Yeah, yeah.
just the final two questions and final two discussion points amongst the four of us.
Okay.
First, I'd like to discuss Prathamesh and Susheel and Anuraag, all three of you, with my point, and please feel free to add to it. I don't understand what is this romanticism with Mauricio Pochettino. I don't know either of you or anyone who talks about, apart from Spurs fans, if any of you genuinely watched him, if you genuinely followed how he was, how his career is, how his demeanor is, how his understanding of football is. I can give it to you in writing in 8 to 12 months. United fans will get bored the fuck out of Mauricio
But aren't you
Pochettino.
already bored?
No,
Like
We're not bored
no,
now. We're not
no.
bored.
United fans aren't. That's the thing. You want to
okay.
look at boredom? Boredom was Jose Mourinho. You want to
Hmm.
look at even more boredom? That was Louis van Gaal. But Louis van Gaal had a structure. Had you spent the money on Van Gaal, United wouldn't be where they are right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Van Gaal had brains. He had a philosophy. He's not a joker, right?
He,
Yeah.
he's a
Joker, right?
master. Come on.
Yeah, Bayern Munich get him, and that Dortmund have those two incredible seasons, right? When they win the league.
Yeah.
If you remember, Sushil, when we were in Pune, right?
Yeah.
When Van Gaal was the Bayern coach, after Klinsmann, I think he took over, right?
Yeah.
Completely revolutionized the were the champions, and
Right.
Bayern were
Before
looking like
Hitzfeld, yeah. Yeah.
Bayern were looking like that'd be a joke or whatever. And here's this man who comes
Hmm.
in, he calls up Thomas Muller, then he gets in Holger Badstuber, and then you have he changes the role for Bastian Schweinsteiger, moves in the
Yeah,
center,
he's not an idiot.
and
He's not an idiot.
he's no
He's a
intelligent
really good
person.
coach. And yeah.
But what do? You get Van Gaal and you saddle him with Falcao and Di Maria.
Hmm.
When has that man ever ever gone to established for 30-year-olds?
Yep.
He's
Yep.
never done that in his career. He didn't do that in Barca, Ajax, Bayern, PSV, wherever he was.
That is the only player he really wanted at the
He
club.
wanted Muller, he wanted Bastian Schweinsteiger, he wanted Depay. These were the three players he wanted. He got two. He didn't get the best out of the three. Okay,
Yep.
so it's that is the point. Nothing ever changes in this club. Nothing changes, and so when you talk about Mauricio Pochettino, right? Mauricio Pochettino, one has to understand the kind of football he likes to play. He doesn't play with wingers. He just does not play with wingers. He wants two
Yep.
fantastic fullbacks who go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Which we don't have.
Second,
Yeah,
we
one of
really
them
don't.
probably.
No,
Not two.
Alex Telles is not. No, he's not,
Not
a
yet.
Mauricio
Not yet.
Pochettino.
Not
No,
yet.
he's not defensively good enough. No,
Yeah.
he's not defensively good enough. we don't know how we'll adapt to England, so we can't. We'll have to
Yeah.
reserve judgment there.
Yeah.
So that is one. Second, a lot of criticism for being slow, reactive, and not taking the hard decision instantly when it comes to subs. You should look at
That I
rarely
agree.
you
Yeah.
that's the substitution philosophy of his will leave you all plucking your hair out as United fans, right? Not using
Yeah.
so rigid, so arrogant and self-absorbed as an individual. And I do not mind that in a manager. If you're bloody, this man has come out in press conferences and told us that FA Cup and League Cup don't matter. Honestly, bro, fuck off. That is why you're managing a club. You don't matter because you can come third in a one horse race. That is why you don't matter. So I'm sorry, like I with this whole concept of getting Mauricio Pochettino.
So
I
who do you
just do
like?
not. I
Let's put
wouldn't
that.
like anyone. I don't want
But
Solskjaer to
that's
get sacked.
okay. Fair enough.
I don't want Solskjaer to get
Assuming,
sacked. If he gets sacked, I don't. Honestly, Sushil, it doesn't matter who comes. If this is
hmm,
the board that's going to be there, if these are the owners, you can get Pep with Klopp as his number two or Klopp with Pep as his number two, and then you can get the best medical team, best recruitment, best everything else at the place.
Yeah, one more
You
thing. I
never
think
have the players.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and tactics. This is what a lot of people, just
It's just
comment quite
bullshit. They call
blatantly.
him a
That's
PE teacher.
yeah. Just a
I'm
second. If
sorry.
you remember
Like,
the game against Manchester City, he logged every one of
yeah,
Manchester City's players so beautifully that game, and he's had games
yeah.
like that. It's not one of game. It's not just one of result. There
And I
was
think Sushil will also agree.
yeah,
yeah,
Sushil will also agree. So sorry to cut your point, Anuraag. Sushil will
yeah,
also agree. The two matches United played against Liverpool, especially the match at Old Trafford, Liverpool didn't deserve. They absolutely did. Lallana scored at the end, yes, because United were crap,
yep,
and also
yep.
because that showed Liverpool's strength in this squad. They could change their entire midfield and get a new midfield.
yeah.
Fertile. And the one away, again, United couldn't finish their chances, if you guys remember. So this all
Yeah.
bullshit about Ole not having tactics. I'm sorry, I don't know why. I'll give it to the three of you for now. So
Yeah, I see.
Pochettino,
Yeah, I mean,
Most of the goals that we've conceded in recent time, it's the goals are so
individual.
silly, and
individual
I
mistakes.
think yeah, people keep talking some big terms like he's not being coached properly, uh, or he's not being it's how do you think a player pulling his own left back falls down to the manager? See, Maguire might not have done that if he had like noticed it was I have a feeling he there were couple of players around him during that for Tottenham first goal. Maybe he was thinking it was someone
Right.
else. I think he was not. If you look at him, he was not
How?
Shaw. That's I'm not defending that was horrible. I'm not defending. Get me right. I thought he thought it was a Spurs player and he pulled him down. That's the only plausible explanation which gives 2% respect to the
Mm.
horrible disaster that happened.
Let's not get there. Let's
Yeah,
not get to the disaster. I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
My point is
Okay,
Ole
guys.
Gunnar Solskjaer cannot be
It's
blamed for that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Last, I think
hmm.
we'll
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
point it up
and
soon.
with
Yeah.
Poch,
yeah. Go ahead.
I would be surprised if United sack Solskjaer, but rather
Hmm.
surprised, because
I'd be disappointed but not surprised.
every season they knew someone, that new PR hit, they need that. They didn't get it with Jadon Sancho, that PR hit with some new manager now. But
Man, honestly, I'll tell
why would
you.
you? Yeah,
I
why?
mean, have you ever heard of PR head for any other club?
No,
Have you heard there
No.
be a discussion about PR head?
no.
These things don't matter, or maybe they do. Maybe we
Well,
don't
they,
understand that side of it.
No,
how many chief
that doesn't come
executives?
in front,
How many
right?
chief?
That doesn't come
Yeah, sorry.
So,
that doesn't come in front. You might have PR heads, you
yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
That is the point is
Yeah,
you don't announce it all over the world that you hired a PR head. I mean, what the hell, man?
And I, no,
You're a football club, you're not a
and I,
PR club.
and executive, sorry, vice chief executive officer comes out and talks about the social media impressions that you've had over this, talks about the number of followers that you have, talks about the global outreach from your
Yeah.
Twitter handle, from your Insta account, from
and
your Facebook account. When that is done, then that is what you will be. You're not even a well-run business. You're one of the worst-run billion-dollar businesses in the world. Just that your owners keep getting their money. From the owner's perspective, you're fantastic. It's a nice cash cow. It's a cash cow. They have put in like barely 100 million into this club. $100 million or $150 million of their own
Yeah.
money, and they
Yeah.
have an asset which is worth £4 billion. They have an asset which gives them their investment as dividends.
Every year, yeah, as dividends,
Every
exactly.
year they get a dividend worth of their investment into the club.
And
Honestly,
then they put it
Sushil,
into
if
Tempa.
you got an investment like this, won't you put your money there?
Yeah, does sound nice. I mean,
You
okay,
put in a
let's just get back on track for a second. Since we were talking about transfers, I think we can have a
yeah.
much longer discussion about um,
Glazers.
Glazers and what's wrong at Manchester United. But okay, so everyone can maybe just give their assessment of the transfer window, right? Obviously, there's a lot of negativity right now, so try to
Minus
keep it.
5.
But
Don't even need to talk about it. It's
despite
done.
this, is that just because of Jadon Sancho? Are you
No,
not
I
No,
mean,
no,
happy
no,
with
no,
who's come
no,
in?
no.
Sancho was never even in my consideration.
Hmm.
I never thought he would even arrive at the club. I know the other two guys are very enthusiastic about Jadon Sancho. Anuraag enthusiastic.
Right.
I don't think I was at all. I don't I don't trust Ed Woodward to pull off such a signing in the first.
Okay. Kushagr?
Um,
Yeah. Sorry.
and
Sorry.
then
Prathamesh. Finish.
and then
Yeah.
and then to top it all off, Edinson Cavani.
Hmm.
What was the
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We were
think we've
totally
already.
fine. We could have promoted an academy product, dude. An academy product could have been playing instead of Edinson Cavani if all you wanted is someone 5 goals a season. You could have given that opportunity to an academy product. Who knows? You might have been something. Even if Federico Makeda plays well for 2 years and goes away, but at least you don't shell out the amount of money that you do on an Edinson Cavani, right?
What would have been a fun signing? Prathamesh is available on a free.
Chupamoting.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, of
wow.
course.
I would have preferred Troy Deeney over Edinson Cavani.
Would have been fit,
I'm not
and
kidding.
he doesn't have COVID.
See,
Yeah.
again, about the Jadon Sancho thing, some people were optimistic, some people were not. Again, it's not about uh, us being over enthusiastic about it, or even being enthusiastic about it. It was there. I think even we are every time I've talked about business. I mean, Jadon Sancho, I've talked about it from a business angle, and that was the only plausible way. And yeah,
Yeah,
they screwed it up in that sense. Also, that is where the disappointment really creaks in.
that is where the shock is actually.
That's where the shock is, and I really really disagree with Prathamesh that he definitely was coming if not for COVID. I think they
He
wanted to
was, he
use
was.
COVID, yeah, the COVID as an example. That's it. He definitely was on his way, and even
He's
Fabrizio
definitely
Romano has been kept he kept
He was
talking.
on his way despite of that, while right? He was on his way in spite of that, and then end wed and fucked it up.
Yeah.
We had a reason.
No,
No,
I
Edward
think
Wood. See, Edward Wood had a reason that COVID has screwed up their finances, and towards the end,
Yeah.
the moment 3 days before the transfer window, the security at his house was tightened. I understood. Okay, yeah, he's done something very horrible.
But there's another issue that comes up based on how United handle this transfer, which is they negotiated with Dortmund saying they don't have the cash to stump out to pay for
Yeah,
Sancho, and then on the last day they go shell out. How much did they spend just on the last day?
so. That's a 25 plus 15. If we are talking full add-ons as
Right.
well, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
they ended up 55 million. No, okay, that's actually 50 plus 17. No? That's around
All right. So
67.
let's
67
take
million
60.
pounds. 67
Yeah,
million
let's
pounds.
take 60. So is either money that was kept for Jadon Sancho,
Initial
right?
payment, I'm sure.
Or yeah, or money that they had while they were telling Dortmund they don't have it. So how can you ever enter a negotiation then, right? And get the price that you want to get because everyone now knows money than you say you have. So I don't know. I think they shot themselves in their foot in more ways than one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more than the gut. It's the brain. It's the head. It's
Yeah,
everywhere
yeah,
else.
yeah. All right,
Just for
guys.
the
Yeah,
last three
yeah,
predictions,
yeah.
I don't think there'll be any point in making as such any predictions for the next window. But I think we should. It'll be interesting if we could just. I think the three of us or the four of us can just give our thoughts. I think we've gone on for way too long in the
Mm.
transfer review here. But yeah, we can start with Prathamesh and then move on to Anurag, myself, and you.
Okay.
Prathamesh,
Yeah. Yep.
was also asking, and as I think Srini left us with a question.
Three
Yeah,
choices. Upamecano number one. I don't put him anywhere else. I don't think Sancho's coming. I'm not even gonna go there. Number two, I would probably, if it was me who was up to it, I would go all nuts on Joshua Kimmich. Uh, that is someone who I would even pay 100 million. I don't care.
I don't think
Bring him at
why
the
will they allow him to
club.
leave?
Or the third, or if not that, then definitely who we know is wanting to move out of the club. That same club is David Alaba, and that is something that you could actually look forward to.
Um, Anurag?
So yeah, there is Upamecano again, number one priority signing. That is true. Uh, my number two would be Jules Konda. I think he's one of the most underrated. I mean, underrated in the sense not a lot of people have to notice how good he is. Yes, the people who've follow football quite extensively, they did. So that would be my number two. I hope, if not for Upamecano, we can at least get Konda. I am not sure if I spelled his pronounced his name properly. And my number three would be
Yeah, you did
a
well.
good striker. A good striker. I don't know if Erling Haaland would ever be interested, but I think we definitely need another centre forward. And Edinson
He has
Cavani,
a
we
60
all
million
know.
release clause from what we know.
Yeah, it's also about the
He has
players' interest.
60
So let's
million
see.
release clause from Dortmund.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Kushagr.
Yeah, I mean, I can come to क्या बोलते हैं, I can come to a couple of questions and couple of suggestions. What really gets my goat is that we can keep suggesting names and that this club will not deliver them. But in a hypothetical FIFA we're talking about, I still think United need a. I'll tell you the three positions first. I still think United need a right winger. Still think United need a defensive midfielder. Uh, for defensive midfield, I've always liked this guy a lot since he's been in the Premier League. I would want United to go all guns blazing for Wilfred Ndidi, and I think Wilfred Ndidi is a player who can sit and allow your two-way shots.
Yep.
Also mentioning the previous video, right? He's the kind of player, and he's got the engine to keep sitting and he's
Yeah.
also good enough in the air when it's and everything else. So he's physical, and he's the modern version of N'Golo Kante, slightly taller version of N'Golo Kante, I would suggest.
Hmm.
NDD would be my first choice for defensive midfielder, holding midfielder. Dio Upamecano, I just feel, of course, I would definitely want him, but Bayern have much better clubs to go to. I think there's a big possibility Bayern get him and allow Alaba to leave. I think there's a
Yeah.
massive possibility there because Bayern are intelligent, and Alaba is 28, 29 right now. Upamecano is sure shot to be one of the best defenders in the world in the coming future. So I would choice a Konda, or maybe look for some other centre backs. I really like Manuel Akanji from Borussia. Again, I don't think Dortmund would sell us a virus now. I don't think they would even want to talk to us in a team. I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
so. I don't know if you can make any deals with any Dortmund. For the timing, I think for the lack of any other options, I'd like for United to go for Upamecano. And if they're not going to go for Upamecano, I would genuinely like for them to go for a left-footed centre half because they need a left-footed centre back in the club. There is not a single.
Which is why I think he was
Marcos
insistent on
Alonso.
Ake, right?
Yes, he was,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Upamecano,
Yeah.
both of them left-footed.
Yeah.
Even a Presnel Kimpembe, if he's willing to leave, I'd definitely like him because he'd be an
Mm.
upgrade on any other players. As far as the right winger is concerned, we've been burnt and burnt and burnt. And knowing the incompetencies of the club, this club will try again for Jadon Sancho. I'm sure for that. They will try again. Uh, though I would respect Jadon Sancho more if he, go shove it and,
Join
just not
Liverpool
ever come
next
back,
season.
never come back because this club doesn't deserve to get him in that sense. Beyond him, we're looking at. I would still go for Adama Traore, man. I would still go for him. He's so much better than whatever you have. He needs to work on his final ball a little, but I think it's a lot better than almost.
What we
It's
have
a
already.
lot better
Dan James.
than Dan James. Mata, Greenwood, Rashford, whosoever you have on the wings. His final ball is a lot better than all of these players. So, I think Adama Traore, if you can get Jadon Sancho, that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Because or you know, you know, I know a lot of United fans would hate me for this. If Usman Dembele can stay fit this entire season, doesn't sign a contract extension in Barca, that means he's just got one season left and he's able to show. Then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
these are
So
my
I
three.
think, uh,
Zidane, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've run out of names
Guess.
to throw in there after this. So I'll just add one name that I'm a huge fan of Lautaro Martinez. I think
Oh
Yeah.
as a
yeah,
Oh
striker,
my
beyond.
God.
he's yeah.
It's another Sancho thing. I think he'll be too
I
expensive.
think
They'll never get
Srinivas did
realistic.
mention
But
Super
realistic.
signing.
Srinivas did mention realistic.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I think Martinez plays better in it too.
Yeah, yeah,
Martinez plays better in it too.
so how that would function with, the setup that Ole prefers, I'm not really sure. But I was just thinking about who would be a good, since you were talking about the deficiencies in the forward line, and he's the name that came up in my head.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I think Upamecano is, probably the one that's most promising in terms of centre backs. Man, honestly, you guys are pretty stacked if you think about it. It's just that the players you have in those positions aren't performing, right? So who's to say that you bring in one of these guys and they don't
Yeah,
go
that's
into a
true. That's
slump
true.
again? So anyway, so I guess that wraps up our discussion about Manchester United.
Extensive.
Yeah, Srinivas is gone as well. So
Yeah.
thanks to all of you for joining in and giving your opinions. I'm sure we'll see a lot more rants this season from you guys.
Thank you to Susheel to put the fun and funeral of Manchester
Man,
No,
United,
I,
basically.
him and Srinivas actually put up with us, and Susheel he's so just for our
yeah,
viewers, we did this video yesterday. I ended up losing it in the Zoom,
yeah,
Zoom ether. So we've done it again. So Susheel has had to.
And we
So
have done it
kudos.
thrice,
Yeah, we've done
including
it
one
Yeah.
versus
twice.
Arsenal
yeah.
as well.
Once
Sound of
also.
Manchester. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Look,
Cheers, cheers,
yeah.
man.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.